Welcome to Real Herbalism Radio, show 229, recorded at Big Dog Studios in Eugene, Oregon. Today's show is brought to you by... Did you ever wonder how we get those great ideas for articles on The Practical Herbalist, or those interviews on the Real Herbalism Radio, or the summit ideas that we have on Herbs in Action? Well, they're all generated from usually one place, and that is the Herbal Nerd Society. If you want a voice in what we produce and what we cater to and make for you, then check out the Herbal Nerd Society and become a member. You'll not only get that voice, but you'll also get an ad-free viewing environment on The Practical Herbalist. HerbalNerdSociety.com. Now, here are your hosts.
I'm Candace Hunter.
I'm Patrick Hunter.
And welcome to Real Herbalism Radio. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Candace.
How you doing? Are you still kind of creeped out by all the TikTok?
Oh, God. You know, I brought up horror stories. I mean, I think you and I could sit around a campfire and remember that time, and remember that time, and remember that time. And I mean, I've had them crawling in the tents. I've had them crawling on my shoes on the side of the freeway. I've had them embedded. I've had them engorged. I've had them...
It's just gross.
I know. They're nasty as hell. But, you know, if you think of everything that's going to bite you in Minnesota as a kid, you wouldn't go outside. Between the mosquitoes and the ticks and the wasps and hornets, and
I tell you, when I was in fifth grade, I got invited to my first ever camp out, which was actually at a cabin. Ooh. It was a birthday party. There were 5 or 6 of us girls. You know, it was super exciting. I was so excited because I had been dreaming of being able to be in the woods at that point for probably most of my young life.
You're being from Detroit now.
Yeah, well, and even at that, we moved into the suburbs in Minneapolis, and I'd lived there for a couple of years, and all the kids I knew had families that camped, but my parents did not camp.
Well, camping and going to the cabin are two different things.
Either way, my parents didn't do that. They just stayed in the city, which, you know, it's a lot to be said for the city, but yeah, we didn't get into the wilderness at all. So I was so enthralled. It was just going to be this amazing experience. And we went out and we were playing. And then we got back and it was time for bed. And we had to do a tick check. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was a little grossed out when I realized what they meant. There were 2 ticks found on the gaggle of us girls. Both of them, or one of them was caught and crushed before. No ticks embedded, but one was caught and crushed. And the other one got away.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
it found me in the middle of the night, embedded itself right on the edge of my eyelid.
How is that? Still, when you tell me that story every time, I cringe, and I can't figure it out to myself, like, how did you not feel it crawling on your back?
Because I was asleep.
Yeah, but, my God. Well,
you're talking
to Princess in the Pea over
here.
I
can tell you that I have tickled you quite a few times across the face when you've been asleep and other things. And you have not woken up?
Oh, darn, I missed my opportunity.
No, I didn't realize it till I got up, and now I can say it felt like I had a sty. I'd never had any feeling like that before, but it felt like I had a sty, and I didn't know what was wrong. And then I can't remember who it was. The rest of the memory is sort of smeared because it was traumatic.
Well, I mean
someone noticed what it was, and then the moms that were there didn't know how to take it out safely because it was right on the edge of my eyelid.
Well, yeah, I mean...
I lost part of my eyelashes. They didn't grow in until I was in my 20s. It took a long time for those follicles to recover.
When we first met. See, it's forgot too.
Yeah.
And, you and I did a lot of camping when we were first together. And, in the first 10 years of marriage, we went, we went to a cabin because
we cabined.
Don't camp.
But no, we tented for quite a while, too.
We did.
We didn't do the rugged, barely carrying anything.
We would go to a campground that had running water.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, I remember, we get in a tent and it was tick-check, tick-check. Mm-hmm. And you were like everywhere, check that body down. You didn't want to have that happen again, for sure.
Yeah. And I can say that it has never happened to me since. That was the only time I got a tick embedded in my eyelid.
It's no. And as a kid, it wasn't that big a deal. There, it was 70s, 80s. No one ever thought about it. But
Lyme disease wasn't a thing then.
Right, but now, and then I always got, it was the standard brown dog tick. That's the thing I always encountered when I was a kid.
Yeah.
in the Midwest.
I remember being maybe in high school and someone asking about deer ticks. Like,
I didn't even know that existed until Lyme disease started, making the rounds, and
right.
and then it was, we have deer ticks in Minnesota because we have deer, but what I was stunned by in the case of deer ticks was they're so bloody small.
Right.
I mean, they look like a speck of dirt if you are looking for them hard. The brown dog ticks, you see them.
Yeah, they're pretty obvious.
They're pretty obvious. Those deer ticks, no, and then they're the ones that carry it. Good God.
I know. Yeah.
I thought it was also, and I have no love for the tick. So if there's a tick evangelist out there, close your ears. I just have a hard time with them. They're worse than most insects for me. But I thought that was interesting, that life cycle where they go onto an animal, they do a blood feed, and then and then they drop, and then that's where they share spit, if you will, with their host, and then they drop off. So if that host has got anything in there, they're going to get it, and then the tick's resiliency to keep it, and then the next animal, because they need another one, right? Their next animal, which might be a little bit bigger, and then they're going to do that again. Yeah, and then you get this third happening where that's the actual point in their cycle where they're the adult tick, and then they're going to go on and do the eggs and things. Yeah, and it's like, not only does it do it one time, right, but the fact it does it 3, I'm out. This is the worst insect I've ever. Give me a black widow. I'll take that.
Now you're not going to go out into the woods anymore. You're so done.
No, I'll do what I did when I was a kid: be actively naive. Yeah. And I hate to say it that way, but if I thought about getting a tick on my, in my nether regions or on my eyelid or wherever else, I'd never go out.
I think that one of the things I really liked about Alexis's book is that she talks about how to handle it in a practical, preventative way. I mean, some of the things like doing the what was that?
The tick tube?
No, the
permethrin, something.
That getting that,
I think,
having that like clothing soaked in that and all of that. That's perhaps beyond what I'm going to be willing to do myself.
But I know, and to just go on that. I know she's a doctor. I know that she's skilled and all that. But the first thing I thought of was like, okay, I have these clothes impregnated with this pesticide, essentially. Yeah, and now I'm wearing hot and sweaty. And how does that not permeate my skin in some way?
I was going to say, even if you're not hot and sweaty, all of that is right next to your skin, which is the biggest organ that absorbs stuff into your body.
I know she says it was quote unquote safe, and
and if I lived in her area, I might do it too.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't live in an area that has the same epicenter like feel in terms of Lyme disease. So that was one of the things I also liked about her book, is that she's talking about how you should know the area you're in and then take steps for that area. I think one of the things that the bug bane recipe that Sue has.
Oh, that Sue wrote for the
and it's on the website. But that recipe is one that has been very well tested in this area, and it works extraordinarily well in this area. And then at one point, I can't remember who it was. I think I sent some to someone I knew who was not in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, and they told me that it didn't really seem to be working well. And I remember, like, when we were still out doing, camping and stuff in the Boundary Waters and all of that, I'd looked up multiple times, even just for being in the backyard in Minnesota, in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, I'd looked up multiple different natural remedies for preventing mosquitoes and stuff. And especially when our son was really young, I didn't want to put chemicals on him. And most of them didn't work very well at all.
Oh, no, you had to have the DEET.
Yeah. And one of the things that reading Alexis's book, it got me thinking, just like with ticks, depending on where you are and what ticks are in your area, you use different natural remedies and preventatives than you might if you were in a different area. I expect it's the same with mosquitoes too. So just because this formula works terrific in our area doesn't mean it's going to work, terrific on the bayou. Yeah, because that's a very different climate
and probably different mosquito or tick or whatever.
Well, and mosquitoes that have evolved or ticks that have evolved to within a different ecosystem. So they've all got different strategies and different of their own antibodies and different things that they prefer or don't, do or don't like. So
Yeah. I think, doing the things that make it difficult for them to, attach, like, having a permethrin spray that you can put on your shoes is probably more, I mean, when you're walking and hiking, I mean, that's how they're going to get on you most of the time anyways, is that.
Well, in your shoes, you have socks, so you've got a little bit of buffer
Right.
between, your skin and the chemical.
Yeah, the impregnation of the clothes with it was the one I was like, oh, I don't know about that.
That sounds, yeah. But again, if I lived in an area where Lyme disease, which was a much bigger player, and ticks were a much bigger problem, I might do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I probably would do it too, just because the risk outweighs the other part of it. No one wants Lyme disease. I mean, it's like anything else. It has symptoms, it has its things, it has what it does, but it's not the same in every person. And partly because of our immunity systems, partly because of our nutrition, partly because of the thing. And I mean, we've seen that even in COVID.
Yeah.
In recent weeks and months that family, two members get it, one gets really, really sick, like on a ventilator sick, and another person just has a couple.
Has a sniffle,
have a bout of a cough, and then they're done.
Yeah,
same COVID, different results.
Yeah.
So it's your physiology makes a massive difference on any of these diseases.
Yes,
it doesn't matter what it is. I think I liked her ideas of helping your yard out a bit. Designing it and thinking of it in a landscape way that is not as tick friendly. Yeah, I think that was
that
really
was smart.
Yeah, she's got a section in her book that deals with that. I thought at first when I first saw the tick tube, I didn't understand. Did the ticks go into the thing because they were attracted to it? No, this comes back to that whole first round of feeding where they go onto mice, and mice are everywhere. So
let's stop them first at the mouse level.
Let's stop them at the mouse level. Then they wouldn't necessarily have that in them. So I thought that was an interesting thing. It's simple to make, simple to hide and get out of the way. I mean, in a wood pile, over by your compost, I suppose you could put something, if you have a compost pile.
Yeah, and she said in the book, she says something like you only need one like every 20 feet or so. It's not.
And I mean, I use dryer lint to start fires, like, in our fireplace. Or I could use a dryer lint to make a couple of those. And you can just use the toilet paper rolls. It's very simple.
That is if you have toilet paper rolls.
Well, okay, we're beyond that now. Well, I don't know. I went to our store the other day, and there was nothing. Everyone was going down that aisle, was almost laughing. Yeah. Because here we are, 6-8 weeks in, and there's still no toilet paper at that store.
Right. Yeah.
That made no sense.
Yeah, that would be a really good time to really plant lots of comfrey and learn to identify poison ivy and poison oak. Just in case you need to use natural toilet paper. You don't want to make a mistake.
So you're going to have comfrey now?
Hey, comfrey's got soft leaves.
That's a whole other podcast.
So bad.
I also liked on the book the identifications and breaking it down by region. It wasn't just a specific general Lyme disease book or a general tick book. It was specific to your region. For instance, in the Pacific Northwest, we have the black tick. Yeah. It looks like the brown tick, but it's black and has a little bit different things, lives in different habitat, does different things.
It picks up some slightly different potential virins.
Exactly. And breaking that down for that region, that's great. Breaking it down for the Southwest, breaking it down. I mean, who knew there was ticks everywhere?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They should have known. They're prolific. And the other thing was she telling me that when the temperature gets just above freezing, they get active. Oh man, my whole worldview of ticks being frozen out is gone. Yeah. Dang it.
No, they just are hibernating.
Apparently, but yeah, the slightest bit of warmth, and they're like, "Ooh, food."
Yeah.
I just, again, they're the nastiest little guys ever. And again, if there's somebody out there that may see their doctorate on it, I'm sorry, but they're nasty.
So how do we recover from the trauma of talking about ticks and thinking about ticks? I'm thinking maybe a little bit of, I don't know, oat straw, with a little milky oats tincture in there to ease the nerves a little.
Oh, you mean my nerves?
Yeah. Some chamomile, settle your stomach a little bit. Work yourself back from the fear place and the
fear and emotion.
Possibly consider a little slice of candied ginger to, soothe that nausea. Serenity now. I don't know.
So yeah, I like I said, I enjoyed her. So she's been, I think, she fell into it. I don't think that, she started her career along those paths. I don't think that's, I know that according to her, that's not where she was going to end up. I thought it was really cool that, somebody that was in her family, but not immediately, hey, you should go here, check this out. And it just resonated with her. And that was a naturopathic school.
Yeah, that is one of those things I wish I had when I was younger, when I was like at the very beginning of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I know I wouldn't be here doing real herbalism radio right
sure.
now. If that had happened, I'd be doing something very different. But
Yeah.
there are times where I romantically think, wow, if only someone had pointed out to me that maybe instead of studying Shakespeare and Old English wars, it would be wise for me to consider looking more seriously at herbalism and botany and, maybe a little bit physiology and anatomy. Consider maybe instead of writing manuals about how to move, program machine tools, I could have been learning about acupuncture. I kind of wish I had done that, but, I can't go back 30 years and redo, so, and where I'm at is a good place to be, so.
Yep. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to do the things you've been doing with herbalism and stuff for the last 10 years. I mean, we each find the path to it. It just ends up taking different ways of getting us there and the right times, the right things at the right moments.
Yeah, it's funny how that's one of the things that I've been making peace with more, I think, because we've been through the pandemic experience and it's forced a lot of people to quiet down, for businesses to shut down, therefore people staying home, and the city just quieted more. I mean, on every possible level, things quieted down. And I think it gave a lot of us the opportunity to just sit with it, to, look at where have we been, what have we done. There have been so many times where we've interviewed people and I have been not regretful. I've been really thankful they've done what they've done. And it's not that I've been jealous of them, but I look at what they've done and the inspirations they had and the opportunities that arose. And I felt sorrow for myself because I didn't find the path that path. I didn't find a similar path. And I look back and wish, oh gosh, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. And having this time during the pandemic and the shelter in place to really be with that has also given me the opportunity to say, I kind of wish if I could go back and start a separate timeline and see where that goes, it would be interesting. But being where I am now has given me skills I wouldn't have otherwise had. I was able to work with you together to put the Herbs in Action Summit together and all of that, all the technical stuff that we had to learn for that and all of the marketing that I had to do, I had to figure out how to do and do it fast. I couldn't have done any of that without the background that I had. So if I had studied herbalism and physiology, anatomy, and spent my life as an acupuncturist, I wouldn't have been able to put together that summit. And the reality is I probably have helped a lot more people by putting together that one summit or by doing real herbalism radio than I could have had I spent a lifetime doing acupuncture.
Maybe, yeah.
Other people like, Dr. Chesney is probably helping millions of people just with one little book, So you think about how much of an effect you can have on the world around you. And sometimes the path that you take to get there isn't really the one that you think would be the right one, but ultimately it's the most effective.
Yeah. Well, it was a good read. I think it's a good one to have in your library, especially I think it's a good one to have at your cabin.
Yeah.
So if you have a cabin in the woods, this is one to add just to make sure that you've got your cabin set the way you want. Make it.
I think this one might be one that's like the All That the Rain Promises, which is the mushroom. Favorite field guide for the mushrooms. We have 2 copies. Yeah. One that goes with us in the field, and one that stays at home just in case there's ever a loss or a damage, and just in case you want to look at one while I'm looking at one, and I'm not going to let you use my copy. So we each have our own.
Right.
I kind of actually think that Alexis's book might be a good one because it's a really good little handy, compact.
Right.
Useful.
We'll have links to getting her book from our website from the show notes. Make sure if you're going to purchase from one of those links. I believe it helps. It's more specific. I think she had said that signed copies.
Yes, you can get signed copies
from that link that we're going to give, which, and to be fair, that she gets more of a take of that than just sending her off to Amazon or sending you off to Amazon.
Yeah, use the link that's in the, I think it's called, I forgot which tab. It's in one of the tabs, and it says not an affiliate link. Use that link to get like a signed copy from her and directly from her. Right. Yeah, we do have Amazon links on the show notes. If you use that, potentially we get some small part of the sale. But honestly, I mean, I'd rather see Alexis and her publisher get, I want to promote, or I want to support them.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So, yep. Thanks, Alexis. It was a good one.
And always?
No. We got more.
Oh, we got more?
Yeah, hold on.
Ooh, what more do we have?
We'll be back in a bit. Oh, man, that's such a pickup. You got to try this tiger tea from Sacred Blossom Farms. In fact, if you go to sacredblossomfarms.com right now and enter in real herb, all caps, 15, you can save 15% on your next order. Tell them that Practical Herbalist sent you. So we got a little bit more. We always like it when people contact us. Many of you have been contacting us through our little Talk to Chat button on our website. We added that because we wanted to get more interactivity, and it's really worked well. Occasionally we will be live, so sometimes you might be lucky and you'll see us actually, it says, hey, we're online and we're there. That means it's either Candace or myself fielding questions, so we could be there. But if not, it's just a little email icon. You click on that, fill a little bit of a form, and then you can send off your questions to us. Now remember, we can't what's the term?
We do not diagnose and we don't offer treatments because we are not medical professionals.
Right. And we're not, and to be honest, I'm not a clinical herbalist.
Right.
And I'm not going to, be able to help you in that thing. And the fact is you probably have somebody local that can do that. So all other questions are abound. So ID and just in generalities, like we did last show about what field guides to use. Hey, we're all for that. So this question, it follows along those lines. So this question comes from Sophia. This was from our little chat box on our website. She says, "Hi, I'm thinking to make some licorice extract using the liniment method with some rubbing alcohol for topical use. Would I be able to use this extraction directly onto the skin, or would I need to be diluted, i.e. with creams, etc.? Candace, what do you think?"
I would use it directly on the skin.
Would you?
Yeah, I definitely would. If you're talking about an essential oil, yes, you do need to dilute that. Essential oils are made through a distillation process, so it will be only the volatile oils that are in an essential oil, and they can burn.
Right.
They can
buffer
cause
there. There's nothing else there. That's just that, the oils.
Right. But when you do an extraction, the liquid, in this case the alcohol or rubbing alcohol, is going to extract not only the volatile oils, but it'll also extract other aspects like any resins or fats that are in the plant, as well as other types of constituents. And you don't get as concentrated an amount. You'll get plenty of good concentration in the liniment to do medicinal activity, but you don't get enough that it's like dangerous. Whereas essential oils, it concentrates the volatile oils so much so that it's dangerous. That one drop of lavender oil represents about, I can't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple of pounds or a pound of lavender flowers.
Oh, wow.
So it's a large amount of plant material that goes into that 1 ounce or 1 drop or whatever it is.
I think people don't. I know I don't think about that. The amount, the ratio of product in to product out.
Right. Right. Yeah.
How many pounds and tons of lavender it takes to make a gallon of
essential
oil.
Yeah. Yeah, and it differs from plant to plant.
Yeah,
Lavender is less expensive to purchase, like from a distiller or whomever you're buying your essential oils from, because you get an awful lot of essential oils from every pound of lavender. Right. Whereas rose is incredibly expensive because you need exponentially more pounds of rose petals just to get that same amount of finished ounce or eighth ounce or whatever.
Right.
So, but anyway, back to the question with the liniment. When you're making that, you'll probably be putting in somewhere in the neighborhood of a ratio of 1 to 5. So one for every 1 ounce of, well, I usually do grams. So for every 10 grams of plant material, you're going to use 5 times that amount of alcohol. So you would do like 10 grams of licorice root with 50 grams of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. I'm used to thinking in terms of tinctures, so I'm thinking,
Right.
tincture.
You're thinking like you're going to actually consume it. This
Right.
is more skin method, so you can actually go rubbing alcohol.
Right. True. And I mean, truthfully, if you wanted to use a tincture topically, you could do that. So you don't have to use rubbing alcohol for a liniment. You can use whatever your grain alcohol is or whatever type of alcohol you typically just extract in. So.
All right.
Yeah. I hope that helps.
I'm sure Sophia will enjoy the answer. All right. So with that,
put an herb on it.
The statements made about herbs and products on this podcast have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided on this podcast or any affiliated websites is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information on this podcast and its affiliated websites for a diagnosis or treatment of any health problem. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamins, supplements, diet, or exercise program before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. Any testimonials, questions, or case studies are based on individual results and do not constitute a guarantee that you will achieve the same results.